There we go. So, let's talk about itching penises. Anyway, that's actually a very, very bad subject in some sense. Well, a very sad subject. I guess this might also work for women. I don't know. Again, I don't know how much, but anyway, but we'll try anyway. So, if you have an itching penis, like in the tip of your penis or something of that nature, it might be fungal related. Now, if the doctor have, done a lot of, sexual transmitted diseases, if you have been out whoring to the left and the right, which is a sin, by the way, but a transgression of God's law, which is not the best thing because you can get a lot of sicknesses while doing that, and it's, emotional and spiritual. It's not good. It's not good. You should wait for your husband or wife, to be. But anyway, that's another thing. So anyway, let's say you get an itchy penis because a lot of people, or maybe actually in regards to the vagina, the women when they have the devil down there, it can drive you nuts, and the same thing with men, it can drive you nuts. And I have had an itching penis for a long time. Many years, and I've not really been able to do, the doctors was pretty much, they put me in the they put me on psychotropic drugs instead, like that will help, that's not the head, that is the issue. But these people, these white coat murderers are utterly incompetent. So, but anyway, many years down the line, where I've been getting all other issues, which so I can see it. It is an Candida albicans infection, and Candida albicans is apparently one of the greatest infections for humans. But it's not really widely, accepted. Well, it's not really accepted by the medical doctors because they have so much focus on bacteria. You see, these white coat butchers have a way of giving us fungus poison. And the fungus poison that they give us have a way of killing off the good bacteria in our gut, making an imbalance, I think it's called in English. So, because it's destroying the good bacteria down there that actually are the police in regards of, fungus not going wild in our body. And thereby women knows that they can get the itch, down in their vagina when they do antibiotics. Now, there are other things that also can make the itch down there. But overall, if you take antibiotics, the doctors, and mostly it's orthodox knowledge, I think, that, what do you call that in another word, English word in a more, fourth grade level. It is a normal known that if you give antibiotics to a woman, that she is more likely to get a fungal infection down there below. Now, in regards of why she is getting this, might be something about actually destroying good bacteria that keeps this under control, as far as I can gather around. But anyway, it can happen to men as well, having issues down there. And if you have gone to your doctor and gotten, sexual, sexual transmitted diseases, to try to, get a test on that, and you don't have any and so forward. What could be the issue? Well, another thing that could be an issue could be fungus. Now, apparently, it's much more normal in regards of women that they accept this, that women can get this, but men can also get this. And so I just want to put out an easy solution that might work for you, that I would have loved to know like 19 years ago, So, it's an easy solution. It doesn't really cost anything as such, It's not like it's, widely. It's just changing the food. Now, first thing, of course, if you have a fungal infection, you need to drop alcohol. totally drop alcohol. That's the whole society is actually just gathered, or it's like we have sugar, 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 and alcohol, 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 and we have destroyed our good food sources and all that, like pasteurized milk and all the rest of the bullshit products we have out there. And then we are not eating enough antifungals and all that. So that's anyway. So the first, you drop the alcohol, you drop the soda pops, you drop the sugar and all that. And what because you can go many ways. There's many diets out there. There's many. They will say, you can eat this and eat that, and you do this, and you get out there, and it's just a mess. This one says this, and this one says that, and all that, and you get into a lot of things that doesn't work, and you end up throwing a lot of money after all these things. So one of the first things I would try if I got, if it was me getting the itch, at the beginning and all that, you might actually be able to turn the boat around very early on before it actually begins to infect your, the thing is Candida albicans. When it's actually is one place, it might actually already be roaming around your body in regards to the blood, as I understand it. The thing is, when you don't have the good guys in your gut, when the when you have destroyed, when you have a unbalance down there in the gut, the Candida albicans might become a fungus. It's actually a yeast normally doing its job down there, apparently. And I'm not entirely sure if everybody actually have this yeast, but it's in a yeast form that is a singular cell yeast form that's shaped like a lemon. And it can divide itself to other yeast cells. It's like single cell and all that, as far as I understand. That I'm trying to do with the best that I know. So the thing is, it can go haywire and become in the fungal state where it begins to put these strings out, and apparently it can then get in the blood and put its spores out there. And as far as I understand it. So, but anyway. Not trying to gather all the things and all that. But the thing is, when women get their issues down there and the devil is down there, itching in their private parts, well, then they might get a diflucan, because the doctor, he's going to put them maybe on this one pill cure, woman cure, which, they take it and it fixes their vagina issue. And again, the doctors know that when the women take antibiotics and other things, I can't remember what the other things are called in English, but anyway, different things, it can actually make them more susceptible to getting issues down there. Now, okay. So they might be able to get the doctor to give them a diflucan that might work to get this under control. The thing is with diflucan is that it works systemic. It works in the body. So if the fungus is in the body, the diflucan not only works down there, it works in the body, in the eyes, everywhere, and so forward. That's the whole idea with diflucan. So that's of course one way of actually, trying, if you have an itch down there. But if you're feeding the fungus at the same time while you're taking diflucan, that might not be the best thing. You need to change your diet before it actually, if you can actually change these things at the beginning, you might get over these issues and not have issues down the years, because if you're actually having it down the years, it's just growing and fixing roots in you and all that. So it's becoming harder and harder and harder to overcome it. So if you can catch it very early on, that would be absolutely the best thing. And apparently you end up in this, system of these white coat Latin spouters to actually just be put in the crazy category, in regards of all your weird symptoms that you have. They can't, because they are looking at localizing things instead of looking at it as a holistic thing in regards to the whole body and all that. But anyway, let's get to one of the things that might actually solve it. You change your diet and you get off all sugar. Now, one thing that is very easy to do is just to you just forget about all the food and just one single food. Meat. red meat. You find a good source for red meat, grounded or whatever, ribeyes if you can afford that and all that. Ribeyes, I love ribeyes. But anyway, you just get some meat. You drink water and eat red meat. It has to be cow or sheep. Cows seem to be the things that I mostly have been eating, but sheep seems to have some of the same positive things in regards to this. Chicken, not so much. Fowls, not so much. It doesn't make it worse, but it doesn't seems to actually make any positive effect. It has to be red meat. I prefer cow. That's the things that I'm usually eating, grounded cow or ribeyes and all that. And, just try to do that for a couple of days, like 3 days, 4 days or something like that. You should be able to see if the itch stops. Well, actually, you should feel if the itch begins to stop. And if the itch begins to stop, then you at least have a way out of this, because it down the 19 years, I didn't know of anything that, I tried this and tried that, and it has its own life and it really can make you nuts and all that. And now, and I've gotten a lot of other issues down the line, as I think I have it all over my body pretty much, but it's not so visible. Sadly, it's not coming out on the outer surface. Of course, if I begin drinking alcohol and actually eating sugar and bread and all that, it will, make it, but still, it's not something that those white coat, what white coat doctors, whatever you want to call them, that's not something that they really actually will react on. And you might not even be able to make them give you diflucan or nystatin or something. I haven't tried those two, but I do wonder why they didn't try that, They actually, in the beginning, when my problems began in regards of it, I was actually given antifungal creams, for down there, but they never said to change my diet, never said that I should stop smoking or stop drinking alcohol, or maybe you should stop drinking pasteurized milk. I'm not sure if that could have anything to, but the thing is, the milk is just utterly destroyed in regards of compared to real raw milk. They do so many things to the cows. They feed them, unnatural food sources. They put antibiotics and hormones and whatever in these, they put them in small places, more profit and all that. And they try to juice them as much as they can. They try to get, quantity before quality. And besides that, then they give it a Hitler treatment afterwards. So they kill enzymes, good bacteria, what was it? Good bacteria, enzymes, vitamins, and something in regards of the immune system also. I'm not sure, but anyway, they just ruin the milk pretty much, on so many levels. And, it's like, oh, raw milk, bad. Oh, well, hey, wait. It couldn't have anything to do how you're actually treating the animal that might actually give you a bad product of raw milk that have some issues, It might actually not already start there, that you didn't, feed the cows their natural, food sources, and you actually put them together very close, and it's just incredible. So I guess that, I didn't live when they began to do this, like for example in Denmark and all this scare thing and all that in regards of, we have to, pasteurize the milk. It's just stupid, it is so demonic. I'm sorry, it's just so demonic. Anyway, if you have an itch in the penis, and in the tip of your penis, and it's driving you nuts, because it can really drive you nuts. Sometimes you want to bang your head in the wall because it's just so, I've never done that, but that's the feeling you get. You're you're thinking of cutting it off nearly, It's just, but then you think, that's probably not a good idea, But anyway, so any case, and you might be getting, some release by actually releasing, seemed to, but it's only like working for like 5 minutes or something like that. Then it comes back and all that. So anyway, stop drinking alcohol, stop smoking, stop eating any sugar, and just get on meat, and be careful of the, food sacrificed to false gods, like halal meat. There's a lot of halal meat. Don't defile yourself with this bullshit meat. So find a good source where, if you can, if you live in the U.S., there's apparently somewhere where you can get some really quality, meat and all that, and maybe call them up and just ask them, in regards to the butcher, is he slaughtered them to Allah, or because a lot of meat in Denmark is actually slaughtered to Satan. It's incredible. It's like, I thought they're priding themselves about being a Christian country, right? Yet most of our food is sacrificed to a false god. Uh-oh. Oh, we lost. Okay, I'm still rolling. Okay, great. I think. Oh yeah, we're still rolling. I stopped it closed the screen down. I guess 15 minutes have gone without actually touching the screen. Anyway, so just be aware, like 95% of the chickens in Denmark is slaughtered to a pagan god. Well, actually, it's slaughtered to Satan. So that's incredible. They have become a lot better to actually put stickers on these things. There's in the supermarket down here, there's one chicken out of all the chickens that they have, that's a good amount, one chicken that is not slaughtered to Allah. Oh, it was a Christian nation. Is that a Christian nation? And all that pagan bullshit of all these celebrations and lying to our children and all that, right? Christmas, Easter, Halloween, and all the rest of the bullshit. And Sunday, thinking that is the seventh day, which is just utter bullshit because Sunday is the first day of the week. It's just utterly outrageous. It was changed in 1973 in Denmark. That was the first year that they fought to change, the things of the Bible. And now a lot of people think that the seventh day is actually Sunday. It's just outrageous. And of course, Satan have put it up so that people miss the Sabbath in regards of the holy set apart day of the week and all that. Because that's always all the fun stuff, and people go out drinking, and there's movies in the television and bullshit and sports and all these stupidities. So we pretty much miss out on the blessing that was given for around 6,000 years ago when God created the heavens and the earth. Actually, the gods, because it's plural in Hebrew, and you have the Father and the Son and the Holy Spirit. But anyway, so find a good source in regards of meat. Try to find a good source that is not slaughtered to Satan. And grounded meat is. I have some teeth issues and all that. So grounded meat seems to be. I love ribeyes, but eating. One thing is that they're pretty expensive. Another thing is that my teeth have a hard time on these. I guess I heard something about that they, in regards to the cows, that they hang the meat, up for 2 weeks or 4 weeks, and that might be some, to make it easier to eat. I'm not entirely sure how they, I don't know. I'm I guess a city guy, and they're pretty much alienated us away from, what is actually happening to our food sources and all that. So. But anyway, grounded meat is pretty easy, and if you can get natural sources as well, that of course, would be better. Also supporting that the cows, have a good environment to live in, because we are also told in the Bible that we should care for our animals. There's just so yeah. God seems to be also concerned about the animals, that we do also take care of the animals. That's the understanding I get from the Bible. He absolutely, wants it. They need to have it a good as well. And of course resting on the seventh day as well. So yeah. But yeah, just get some meat, and it's not. I'm not here to sell you anything. I don't have anything to sell. It's if you have this itch, I wish someone would have told me in past times, 19 years ago, and my immune system and the spreading of this fungi, Candida albicans, I might have been able to stop it if I actually just have done that at the beginning, because I think the closer to the when the issue begins, begins to roll in some sense, the quicker you can catch it, the less the more likely you can actually turn this boat around. and actually fix your issue. But these white coat doctors was totally ignorant and incompetent in regards of my issue. So they wanted to put me on psychotropic drugs. Actually, I was put on psychotropic drugs, you know. Yeah, because when you have the itch, you know, I had another issue as well in regards of my butthole, but that's another thing. But in any case, oh, by the way, that's another thing, you know. If you really want to be clean down there, you know, really feel clean and really not have all this paper, this is the thing you need to get. This is something called a bidet. It's cheap. You just put it, you know, the toilet is right there, and you just put it down, you know, at the side. And if you have anything, you know, yeah, it just cleans you out. You just, you know, you pretty much afterwards, after you have done your deal and all that, you just take it and then boo down there, and you know, you give it a good spray. You know, you can actually see the spray here. You see, there we go. I'm ready. See here. Woohoo! Actually, pretty good. You know, see, you can't see. It can actually go pretty. Anyway, it's pretty powerful. It's pretty powerful. It gives a good spray, you know. And that's what you pretty much just spray up in your butthole, and it cleans you out, and there's no problem in regards of bleeding or anything like that, you know. If now, because in regards of paper and all that, it can rip. And that's, you know, when I was younger, they had something that we called the state paper, I guess would be the best thing of saying it in English. And state paper pretty much rip your a-hole up, you know. And that was awful, absolutely awful. But you know what don't you do for money, to save some money, you know? Just put this state paper on the toilets of the schools and so forward, you know, to, you know, we don't want to have some good toilet paper, right? And that pretty much... I pretty much gave me my issue down there. So started the ball rolling, which was very frustrating and all that. But anyway, no one told me anything in regards of a bidet, which is a wonderful invention. And again, it's cheap. It's like 100 kroners, that would be around $20 or something like that. That's pretty cheap, you know, compared to all the other things that you can, you know, and just put it to the water supply, and there you go. It is a little cold in the winter. I've only had it for around a year or something like that. It's not that long that I actually found out about this. I was like, oh, but that's you know, that's also pretty good if you're only on meat, because the meat is when it gets out, you know, it's can kind of be a little messy down there. So having a bidet actually helps on that, you know, clean out. So, you know, if I remember, I have been a vegetarian. I got into all this vegetarian bullshit and all that in the past. And, you know, I had the issues already at that point. But coming into this vegetarian bullshit led me away from meat, what actually could have helped me. And so many years I went down this route of being a vegetarian and not eating any meat, while actually meat was the best thing that apparently I could eat, you know, in regards to my issue. So feeding the fungi a lot of sugar and doing juice fast and all that, I was literally just feeding this monster. And well, I have other issues now, but at least I can control the issue down there now. That's nice. It's nice. It's nice. I have itching all over my body, you know, now, but, you know, and, you know, crawling feelings and all that. But, you know, the fungi, you know, seems to conquer more and more. And over 19 years, it's, you know, I remember, you know, when they didn't get salt down there, it began to travel up, you know, I could feel it like traveling up my body. And I remember when it was here, I was like, I tried to figure out what it was, you know, and I was young, I didn't know much, and I used the internet as well, trying to figure out. And I was like, when it came up here and I felt it like, you know, I was like, okay, you know, it's like, it's going to get to my head now. And of course I have a lot of eye floaters, which, you know, looks like Candida albicans. But, you know, the doctors will say, no, everybody have floaters, you know, apparently. Now, of course, there's different variations of floaters as far as I can see. You know, people having floaters and all that. But, Yeah, Candida albicans can live pretty much everywhere in the body, and the eyes, as I understand it, are hot tubs for hot tubs for a pretty good place for fungi, to be in. It still get fed, and it gets a good heat and all that, and it can be in the eyes. So I remember when I did the juice fast, and I could see them growing and all that when I was, they were actually growing very quickly when I did the juice fast, one of the juice fasts. I remember, just looking at them and all that. Now there's so many, so I can't really, yeah. But, they grew over the years, and so anyway, what grows? Well, I would guess Candida albicans grow, and it is, again, it's one of one of the most infections in the world that seems to be an issue. Candida albicans is the Candida species, or whatever you want to call it, that is on the highest. You have other Candida species that also makes issues for people, but Candida albicans is absolutely the first and foremost of these Candida infections that makes issues for people. And I think it's an overseen issue because, again, the medical mafia wants to give you antibiotic. An antibiotic is fungus poison. Look it up. Just look it up. Google it on look it up on Google and all that. You can find, all these different papers, like they're like priding themselves that, these fungi are actually pretty, some of them are really good because we actually make antibiotics about that, that actually destroys, bacteria that we have in the gut, and that might actually make an imbalance, and what's it called, unbalance in the gut. Yeah. Now, or in the digestive tract, or as they call it, the GI tract, the whatever, all that words and all that bullshit. But anyway, so, yeah, what was it? I think I fell off the wagon here. What was it? Yeah. So they're selling you these products of antibiotics, which might already be things that actually starts things up, So, but anyway, if you ever get a problem, you might be drinking too much or whatever, in your youth, and you get this itch down there that is driving you utter mad. Well, eat meat and only meat. Even the fat that you use some, You could use coconut fat, or but the thing is, the butter has some sugar in it, I do use some butter. You can use tallow as well if you can get it. In Denmark, we apparently have some problems in regards of selling clean animal fat. We have pig, but pig is unclean according to the Bible. I don't know if they actually have done something to it or whatever. But in regards of tallow from cows and sheep and all that, that's pretty much impossible to get in this nation. And again, a lot of the meat is sacrificed to Allah, which is a false god who doesn't have a son, which of course is not the biblical God, and thereby it's, Satan. The broad way that leads to destruction and all that. Anyway, but that would be a way of also getting away from the, from the sugar, just keep it at, 0 carbs, pretty much, and see what happens, just give it 3 days. 3 days should actually be enough. If you have an itch that is just totally uncontrolled, you cannot, it's just making you mad, utter outrageous mad. Try it out. 3 days. That should be enough to see if you see any, if it begins to stop. If you realize, hey, I don't actually have, the itch is actually really gone down. It's eating meat and all that. I still, I know it's still there, but the notch of it, has been turned way down for me. And I like 90 years down the road, so the Candida have had a long time for being able to spread and so forward and destroy and ruin me and make my life miserable and all that. But if you just have begun, and that you are pretty much healthy besides that issue or whatever and all that, you might actually be able to turn it around before it gets totally out of hand. And before maybe even needing to have, drugs or whatever, there's antifungals as well, If the meat works for you, trying the only meat and all that, try looking into natural antifungals. You have oregano oil, for example. I have a bottle down here. But anyway, let's see if we can find it. Oregano is, or maybe if you can get it, maybe if you have a garden, for example, that, and you can grow your own oregano, do that, As I understand it, it pretty much grow pretty wild and all that. I'm living in an apartment. Maybe I could actually make some in regards of, yeah. But I'm pretty much down the basement and all that. So, but anyway, here's one of them that I tried buying different products, and I've tried so many things down the 19 years and all that, and I really haven't found anything that really Can we open up here? That really worked for me. Besides the meat, it's just after these 19 years figuring out that meat is actually it's something that I was like, when I only had that issue in regards of the itching down there, when it hadn't spread more and all that, it might actually have been enough to actually turn the boat. Who knows? I don't know. But anyway, it might. I don't know what is in red meat that makes it help you. I don't know. But it doesn't, fish and fowl doesn't really do it. It doesn't seem to do it worse in regards of fish and fowl, but it doesn't seem to have this positive thing as red meat does. And again, and keeping it to 0 carbs, no sugar, no alcohol, nothing of that kind, and no milk and all that. Just meat. Meat, and if you're hungry, eat some more meat, That's pretty much more, if you get grounded meat, it might not even be that expensive. It is, it's a little more, but you can get some pretty cheap grounded meat and just call them up and ask them if it's slaughtered to Allah and all that. Because again, even the Western nation seems to be beginning to do these pagan practices. Of stupidity, of insanity, and not really telling the people about it, by the way. But this product, of all the oregano products that I tried to buying at that time, this was the best. This was also, second time. I think it was the second time that I bought a bottle of it. It was, it was out of, you couldn't buy it at that time. You had to wait for them to make some more, apparently. So I guess it might be pretty popular. I don't know, but in regards to the herbs, might be you could put it in if you find out that the meat is working, you can then try out. I haven't figured everything out in regards to these things, but at least it works. You have to try things from there on. You're on your own on that. But I think that would be pretty good solid basement for that. Because again, it's it might actually just be the thing that actually solves it. But if it's a fungus problem and all that, again, you could just throw in some antifungals as well with it, and see if you have a negative reaction, and then you can, if you have a foundation in regards to the meat, you can then, try out different things if you but who knows, it might not just be enough to actually stop the progress of this fungi and actually make the immune system and all the things actually push the things back into its balance, if you catch it early on. So I'm still trying to figure out in regards of, I'm trying to get some raw milk to make yogurt off and all that in regards of, but I have a lot of things to test out. But anyway, this is just a small solution, a small way. Just try it out. If 3 days, and again, if it works and all that, you could get some of these antifungal natural things like oregano herb maybe, and put into the meat, and garlic, and different of these things, and put it in the meat and see if you react, if the itch comes back, just stop using it, right? But yeah, so 0 sugar, pretty much, cinnamon as well, as long as you get the right cinnamon. There's 2 kinds, and if you're going to eat a lot of cinnamon, which is also said to be an antifungal, which you also you could just put in the grounded meat and all that. You need to it's said to be one version doesn't have so much of this thing that apparently they say have some issues. What's it called? Chile cinnamon or something like that. Let's see if I can find it. Some cayenne pepper might also be something, and I like a little strong taste, so that's no problem and all that. But just some have said that it also has antifungal things and all that. But again, just try the only meat from the, at the beginning and water, and see how that works out. I wish I knew this 19 years ago. Ceylon cinnamon, I think it's Ceylon, I'm not sure if that is also in English, but Ceylon cinnamon is said to be the ones that doesn't have this thing that is not so good. If you eat a lot of it, it doesn't really matter if you don't eat that much, but if you're eating a lot of it is said to be not so good. So I don't know, maybe it's bullshit, I don't know, but there's so much misinformation out there, and I think we can thank the medical mafia for that. So they can, get us off track, and of course demonize all the good food sources and also destroy them. It's a whole system. It's a whole system just to try to pretty much make you suffer and take your life, and of course get you, while they are, fixing all the money out of you, all your resources. So, yep. So that's the thing. Let's see, in regards to the meat. Now this is in Denmark, so but this is the meat that I just have gotten here. This is let's see, yep, whoopsie. This is grounded meat, and that's the best grounded. There's actually a lot of difference in regards to the grounded meat I've tried. I have 3 sources that is said not to be slaughtered to Allah. And I've tried all the 3 places, and I also tried other places, before I actually found out about, I was trying to figure out here and there and all that. But I have 3 sources that is said, that are called up and all that says they don't slaughter it to Allah, that I can be sure that this is not, food sacrifice to a false god and all that. And this is the best of them, and it's actually also, I think, the cheapest as well, so that's good. So, but it's from, it's called Freeland in English, and it's from, I think it's from the younger cows or something like that. It's the most tasty, I think. Some of it are really dry eating it, and this is pretty moist as well. Also, if you put, later on, if you put some antifungals in the grounded beef, you can just, put it in a thing and just smash it up and all that before you put it on the pan and all that. By the way, in regards of fat sources, if you can't find any, what was it called, the fat from cows or sheep or of one of these clean animals. There's another way in regards of butter. There's something, I can't remember what it's called, but they fix the butter into something and it doesn't have sugar in it anymore after that. I can't remember the name of it, but that's sauce without sugar as well. I don't really like the taste of it, but if you want to be without butter and you can't find the other sauces, that's one way, because that you can, in Denmark, I can actually get that in some of these health food stores and all that. I can't remember what it's called, sadly. You can also make it for yourself. I tried to do that, but I'm not entirely sure that, when you don't know how the product actually needs to taste and all that, because you haven't really taken so much of it and all that and not really used to the taste, then of course it's hard to judge if it's okay or not. But, you can make it of butter and then you warm it up and let it warm up to a specific point, and then you fix fix it, and yeah, then you have it. Again, it tastes somewhat different, but again, there's no sugar in it afterwards. I haven't been able to find any butter that doesn't have sugar in it. I was looking into these lactose-free butter things and all that, and sadly, it still has sugar. You know, I thought actually the lactose was the one that was the sugar in the product. So anyway, minimum 0 sugar. You know, just 0 sugar. Just run the 0 sugar for a couple of days. And if you want to make it easier in regards of when you are going to the toilet, by the way, when you eat meat, you know, that's one of the experience that I had when I was in a vegetarian. If you eat vegetables and fruit and all that, the what is it called? The poop that comes out is just magnificent in regards of getting it. You know, you might go to the toilet 3 times a day because you're eating fruit and vegetables and all that, and a lot of it the body apparently can't, you know, break down. And then you just poop it out, you know, and it's very nice poop, you know. It's and you get the, I think it's called ghost wipe, you know. I think someone calls it ghost wipe, where you don't actually need to wipe your ass, you know, pretty much. It's like you try, it's like, oh, there's nothing on the paper, great, you know. It's and it just slips and all that. It's just, you know, go. It's like, yeah, a ghost wipe or whatever. I think that it was called ghost wipe. I think I heard that word. In any case, when you eat meat. The chances of a ghost wipe is going down, very down. So that's, you know, so a bidet is actually a nice thing. Again, it's very cheap. It's like $20 to $25, you know, or, you know. So, and then of course you maybe need something in regards of mounting it and all that. But, you know, you should be able to do it yourself. It's like you need to turn off the water, and you need to find the connection for the thing, and then have the right thing, and just screw it on. You know, fix the thing around it and screw it on, and you know, you should be able to do that yourself. You know, it might take some hours here and there and trial this and that, and who knows, but you know, you should be able to maybe, you know, whatever, or maybe get a VVS to do it. You know, if you. But again, it's a very, very, very cheap solution compared to many other things. There's different versions of these bidets, but they pretty much do the same thing. They spool your ass pretty much, and yeah. So that's just a suggestion, because when you only eat meat, and by the way, you don't go to the toilet so many times when you only eat meat. I was afraid that I had just totally blocked my gut. Because I was like, why am I not going to the toilet? Like for a couple of days nearly. It's like, I was like, this is weird. Why am I not going to the toilet? You know, the thing is, when you eat meat, it's it's incredible how the body can use the meat. It's like, you're eating a huge amount of meat, and the output, you know, the output is so less than the input. You know, compared to all the fruit and vegetables, where you have you know, what you put in, you know, you have a good you know, nearly the same as the output, or at least there's a lot of output in regards of what you put in. But in regards of meat, the body just uses most of the meat, so the output is very, very little compared to. So that's don't be afraid if you eat meat and don't have any pooping time. So, and of course, if it works and all that, you might. You know, if you already have that standpoint, you might actually put in some, you know, for some fiber in regards of avocado and cucumber. That's the 2 things of very, very, very little sugar. And but anyway, start with the meat and see if it works. If it stops your itch, it will be a wonder. If you have had the itch for weeks or months or maybe years, and it's still in the beginning, it hasn't spread, you know, the fungi hasn't, you know, done more damage, you know, maybe it's still, you know, localized and so forward. Well, it's actually probably roaming around, but, you know, still in regards of, it still needs to, you know, it still needs to suppress the immune system and all that. And if it haven't done so much damage and all that, again, you might, you know, turn the boat around very early on. But anyway, if you just, you know, if you have the itch, you know, it's just yeah, it's just you're getting totally, it's like it can really drive you mad, It's and you're sitting there with the leg, up and down and up and down to try to get the extraction down. I'm not sure, but yeah, just up and down, up and down, up and down, and I was like, just to try to get the yeah. It's just to get this away. This insane itch and this, at least that was from my side, he's sitting there and then the camera, And any case, So any case, so if you just can get a breathe, you will know if it works, if again, so you will know if you get the release, It shouldn't be and it will be. I don't have it. Oh, it's really, really low, At the moment, I'm like on like a 0 to a 2 or something like that, compared to in the past where I was up on an 8 and a 10. Of course, it did have its own life, so it's like up and down, But again, I couldn't really figure out what could actually help and all that, and the meat just pretty much does it. So red meat, give it a try. I wish I knew it 19 years ago, and pretty much that's just my my experiences with this. Again, I wish I had known this because again, there's so many diets, right? Try this diet, try that diet, try whatever, and you're like, okay, and you're trying this and you're trying that and you're trying whatever, and it doesn't really, So again, this is the base. If they haven't been able to find any sexual sicknesses in you, actually, one of the white coat doctors said, "Oh, you have this." Actually, I think he just made that up. That was he was trying to, I guess he tried to go with the placebo, right? Bullshit, all this. But anyway. Of course, it didn't work, but I think he was making it up at that point. I had been to different doctors at that point, and he was so. Anyway, I guess at least he tried more than the comment. At some point the doctors just don't. These people don't. He was the one that actually tried to at least dig into the things and try to figure out what was wrong with me. And I think actually that guy actually ended up in, I've heard something that he ended up in the natural department instead, so I don't know if he then still have his license or something like that, but I guess he was honest enough then to realize that this system doesn't work, which, so I'm not entirely sure, but he also seemed to be pretty much the best that I've tried, at least. But still, in regards of, I don't know why he, but it, he gave me a pill and all that didn't work, for against this. But overall, all the tests that I've taken in regards of the sexual transmitted diseases, there has been nothing. So again, I think he just tried to but it didn't work. It didn't work. So I don't know, but it didn't work. Whatever the case, but at least he gave it a shot. He seemed to actually dig into some books and all that, and trying to figure out. I don't know how blind they actually could be in regards of, some of them apparently had understood that this is fungus, the itch in and all that, and yet they didn't. They don't tell you, to change your diet, don't drink alcohol anymore, and, try the meat, try eating only meat. That would be a nice, nice suggestion, I think. So anyway, yeah. So now I'm giving you the, at least, who knows? It might help someone, and if it just helps one single person, hey, thumbs up. And again, if it doesn't help, you haven't really wasted much, right? You've just used 3 days on eating meat, and who doesn't like eating meat? At least if you're a man, right? Eat. Haven't been brainwashed by all these these propaganda movies and all that, like I was, and of course, you're seeing all these things in regards to the animals and all that, and of course that's absolutely, the animals should have it good, that's, you want to buy a product where the animals have, and of course it's a little hard when you really are living in a city, or as our society and all that. And of course you want to, if you're buying eggs, you want to have the chickens to have it, and we do actually have some rules on that in Denmark, where we have like cage hens, and of course yeah, they're cheaper and all that and blah blah blah. But think about it: you're putting hens in a box. It's just incredible cruel. And then you have others. This is like. Then they have some other rules. There's 4 different kinds of birds here. This is in Danish. I got this thing. And then they say how much they have of space and how much. Per nest, per chicken. That seems to be pretty much the same in regards to 7 hens per nest. But you have the ecological hens in regards of how that they had to be able to go outside, and how many hens there must how many what do you call it, M2s, what is that called, space for the hens and all that. And of course, if you take the ecological hens, they will have the most space. They will have the 6 hens per square meter, which I guess is still not that much, but it's better than it's better than the others. So anyway, you of course wants to have the animals actually have a good life, But, you cannot just stop eating meat. It's like a pretty good food source, And apparently the best, for this, for this thing in regards of Candida. And we're feeding so much bullshit food to ourselves, so much unnatural food sources. And it's credible. Look at you, it's just, and we could be eating a lot and drinking a lot more natural food sources, like raw milk, for example, right? Raw, good, nourishing milk, like quality instead of quantity, and not ruining it, and so forward, and antifungal things and all that. But what are we doing? Drinking sugary drinks and drinks, sugar, and sugar in everything, and candy and sugar in that, and food that's sugar in that, and just sugar. And what does fungus like? Sugar. So we're taking antibiotics, which are fungus poison, down in the gut that destroys the good bacteria, so the fungus can run wild. Then we're feeding it with sugar at the same time because of our bad diets. And then we're drinking alcohol, which is also a mycotoxin made by yeast, which is also a fungus. Well, it's clarified as a yeast, but it's fungus, right? And it's just, that's, different things in regards to clarifying the different, yeast, fungus, mold, and all that. But it's in the category of fungus, I would think, as far as I can see, So, and then you have the groups that can change from a yeast to a fungal form, where, for example, Candida albicans. So, which, is one of the issues that could make it itch down there. Now, as I understand it, they don't really know why the itch comes around, but it's, pretty powerful itch. But I think that's a good theory that this is in regards of the strings that the yeast form begins to make. So the thing is, the yeast form becomes in its fungal form, and the strings comes out of this beast. And when it goes haywire, and if these strings are beginning like in your skin and all that, and moving down in your skin and so forward, that could probably stimulate a feeling of itching, I would think. That seems logical and sensible, but I don't know, because I read this article that they really didn't know, that the scientists or the whatever doctors and so forward didn't really know why the itch, and they came with different examples and all that. Well, I think it's pretty logical when you have something moving, like strings that is moving into your, flesh, that might actually make, these small strings and all that, that might actually make an itch, that it begins to itch. And in regards of after the explosion that I had, when I was eating bread and sugary thing from the bakery, which at that point I should have known better, absolutely known better. But, society, well, it seems like, the doctors and all that, they try to make you think that it's up in your head, It's just all in your head. You just need some psychotropic drugs, Or you need to get to a shrink, or it's just like, these people are utterly, yeah. The words that I have for these people are just, it's just incredible how these. But anyway, so in regards of the crippling and crawling, it's like crippling and crawling in your skin, and of course the itch is more censored in regards to the itch, but after the explosion I pretty much have it all over my body. I haven't been able to, fix that away, so I'm looking into to get some diflucan. You could maybe also try, if you can, in regards of the doctor, but I haven't tried that, so I don't have any experience with it. But one of the things in regards of the diflucan is in regards to this one pill, women cure and all that. Again, you might actually needing to take more to get it under control and all that. But I saw a guy that talked about 8 days of diflucan that could actually fix, itching on the tip of the penis. But again, you have to be aware that, you want to stop feeding the fungus, but, so, yeah. So that would be a way to try as well, if you can get the doctor to give it to you, because again, oh, you're not a woman, you don't have a vagina. Oh, it couldn't be, Again, they forget that diflucan works throughout the body and not just totally centered in the vagina, these people are totally blind, and you're going to be put in, if they end up putting you in the nutcase box. I'm not the only one that they have done that to. I can see on the internet, and a lot of people have issues with this fungi. And they're looking for help and they can't find it, and and there's so much misinformation out there, and it's incredible. So anyway, check, see if it works in regards to the meat, and again, if you in regards of antifungal remedies, nystatin works in the gut, and diflucan works in the body. So, and again, I heard this guy say that 8 days of diflucan, if you have an itch in the penis, that's a way to do it, He didn't really talk about a dose or something like that, but I would guess like 200 milligrams or something like that. 100 milligram in the morning and 100 milligram in the evening or something like that. But I'm no doctor. I'm no white coat murderer's doctor. So don't reason for yourself, and But yeah, they used 150 milligram for the one cure pill in regards to women. And they tend to start with a higher dose in the beginning if you're going to take it for antifungal and all that. So maybe starting a little higher than 100 milligrams, and then taking 100 after that for so you had to take 200 milligram total each day after that. So anyway, you can look into that. Again, I'm just looking into it and all that, and don't have that much experience with it. I haven't tried and all that, just been reading on it because I want to try it out. Because again, I think I have Candida albicans pretty much all over my body, but at least the meat helps on my issue down there, and that's nice to have figured out. Sadly, it seemed to, it's not making things worse. That's the nice thing with it in regards of But it would have been nice if it also would have helped on the other issues that I have. But again, I went to the bakery. Stupid idea, eating bread and 2 times of, I had like a 5 days period where I totally gave in to the bakery. And that was really stupid. So I was totally feeding the fungus, and it's just literally exploded. I felt it like explode. In me, down in my legs and up in my head, and and now I have the itch pretty much all over my body, on my hands, on my arms, on my legs, on my feet, on my stomach sometimes, and my head. So it's kind of very sad. It's not like it's not like this cruel itch that you have in that one gets in the penis, but it's there, and it's like a crawling a sensation as well, where it feels like something is crawling in your skin, and the itch and the warmth as well, and the heat, and all these symptoms that pretty much can go back to fungus issue. So, but I have a little difficult actually, as I said, getting the diflucan. Again, I wish I knew what I know now 19 years ago, and maybe I wouldn't have had these issues. Maybe actually I would have been able to turn things around, instead of now having, it's a monster. Don't let it go out of hand. If you begin to have issues and you begin to realize that it might be fungus, the best thing would be to be able to cure, to get things in order very early on, because you will get a lot of weird symptoms if you let it go on and all. That's I wish I could say that I'd fixed it and all that, I had experience with that. But again, maybe in regards of eating only meat, from if you go do it early on, might actually be able to turn things around for you. Might actually be able to give the space for the body and the immune system to get back on track again, so you can have a normal life. You might lose out on the alcohol and having fun and blah 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 and so forward. But isn't it actually better to be healthy than actually end up in... you see a lot of alcoholics also get into a lot of issues, and fungal infection seems to be a much bigger problem in society than the medical mafia actually would want to give it, because they're earning a lot of money on symptom treatment instead of the cause. And the cause is fungi, fungus. So, yeah. And the Candida albicans, as I understand it, is the number one fungal infection. I think it's a lot of people have it, as I understand it. A lot of people, you have it in the natural form as well, where it doesn't really do much, where it's not really an annoyance as such, and then you have it in its evil form, or whatever you want to call it. Where it just totally... And the fungus has so many ways to destroy you. It has poison. It has apparently they are really good to also hide from the immune system, or destroy the immune cells, to suppress the immunal system. It's incredible how this has many ways of apparently of making your life miserable. There's different sources in regards of how many mycotoxins this fungus make, but I saw 75 different mycotoxins, and I haven't really found any information on the specific mycotoxins that they have found that the Candida releases. But yeah, so it will make many weird symptoms if you let it go on. If it's a fungus issue that you have down there, and it might very well be, and if you don't get it fixed, it might actually, become much worse, over time. So stop drinking alcohol, stop smoking, and stop the sugar intake, and try the meat. Again, the best advice I guess I can give. If you have a problem, if they can't figure out what it is, and try it out. That's the best way. Again, there's a lot of factors, other factors that I do not know, that I have yet to test out and all that. Some are talking about, raw milk yogurt is some of the best to restore the gut. And it needs to be like 20 to 24 hours of, souring. And, like for example, in a, what's it called, a crock pot or, a slow cooker. A slow cooker, that's the name. Some slow cookers have this yogurt thing, And again, I haven't gotten one of these, and I have been looking into it and see if I probably should try to get that, and see if I can get some raw milk as well, and and see if that. Again, I don't know if you actually restore the gut. If you have a balance in the gut, and I never actually, over the years, I never really understood that it might actually be a gut problem, but it might be actually. But the thing is, if you restore the gut, could you then also get it killed in the systemic, in the body and all that? I don't know. So again, I would like to try nystatin and diflucan to see if that would be any difference. But I found out that I can get nystatin in Germany without recept, because again, the doctors, the white coat murderers, don't really want to play ball in some sense. I haven't been able to find anyone that they just want to put me on psychotropic drugs, which is just utterly nonsense, utterly insane, That's not a problem up here, I might be affected by the candida, but overall, there's just no, they think I'm making it all up apparently. The itch is just, I made it up. Okay, yeah. The bleeding, I just made it up. Oh yeah, well. Any case, it's just they're totally incompetent. That's pretty much. I don't have any. I don't have much. What do you call it? Weight in that system. It's just disgusting. It's utterly disgusting. And then you begin to figure out what might actually be a helpful remedy and all that. And then they just stand there as gatekeepers and don't want to give it to you. And it's very interesting. Very interesting, because vaccines. Oh, have a vaccine. Have 2, have 3, have 4. It's free. Well, some sense free, I guess. Someone is paying for it, isn't they? But anyway, but hey, wait, doctor, could you please, just give me some documentation what is actually in that vaccine before you actually take that needle and, inject something foreign into my body. I would like to actually know what you would like to inject into me. Or maybe you'll say, don't you trust me? No, I don't have any reason to trust you white coat murderers, Again, if you take your brain out and just lay it to the side, you might be killed by these. And yet they come out as the heroes, It's just incredible. While they couldn't figure out there was something wrong with you. It's like, men don't really like to going to the doctors. Women are much more likely to go to the doctor than men. And yet when the men come up, they're just like, oh yeah, okay, you're just coming up there just because you apparently thought it was fun or something, like making things up. Oh yeah, doctor, I just love coming up to you and telling all my private issues to you and showing you my weenie. Oh, there's nothing better to do in the whole life to call up and go to the doctor. Yeah, you have to be kidding me. You literally have to take you at the neck to get to the doctor, right? You don't really want to do it, And of course, that might actually be if you just knew how to actually keep healthy, prevent sickness instead of, because then you go to the doctor and they don't know anything in regards of health, They just know how to treat them with these medical drugs, And they, of course, probably won't go to the cause. They will treat the symptom, or actually give you drugs that actually makes more symptoms, so they can give you even more drugs, right? And then you are what do you call it, a subscriber the rest of your life. If you get diabetes, for example, they can get you on the drugs, and that's a big business. It's a huge business. It's actually, as I understand it, I think it's actually the biggest business in Denmark. It might actually be, in regards of at least they had like these 3 companies. I think it was like Carlsberg, and I have this article. Let's see if I can find it. This and they're actually priding about these things, But I guess they're making these articles for their, the what is it called, people that have, what is stakes, or what is it called? I don't know, in regards of, where they can get money and they want money back for their investment or whatever. Let's see if I can find it here. It's just incredible. So the information is out there. Here we have in regards of fungus in regards of women and all that, just trying to get because again it's a lot easier to see the symptoms in a woman than in men. So the doctor might be more reasonable with a woman, but again, there's a lot of doctors that apparently rejects anything in regards of fungus related and all that. A lot of people have issues actually, getting the doctor to prescribe, antifungals. Take some antibiotic. Oh, wait. Isn't antibiotic actually fungus poison that kills off bacteria, doctor? Yeah. So if my problem is fungus related, and actually, by the way, the fungus poison actually promotes the growth of fungi. So if you give me that, and it's a fungus issue, are you not just promoting the issue? You see how stupid they are, It's just, and it's a nut house. Okay, here we go. It says, here's the country's wildest money machine. It earns double the amount as Maersk, Lego, and Carlsberg together. So Lego is a big thing. Carlsberg is a pretty big thing. That's the alcohol and all that. And then we have Maersk, which is also a pretty big company. But, taking those together, the wildest money machine in this country is from the medical mafia in regards of diabetes. It earns the double amount of all these 3 together. Interesting. It's big business. Let's not tell the people why they might actually get, diabetes in regards of the beta cells, I think it's called, being destroyed. Couldn't have anything to do with fungus, could it? How do you fix fix diabetes in mouse and all that? Anyway, and cancer, and what was it? Also in regards of brain issues and all that. Well, and they inject all these different, fungus poisons, and yeah, it's just, So here is the wildest money machine earns double the amount as Maersk, Lego, and Carlsberg together. The money is what do you call it? Vælter. What would that be in English? The money is the money is. Could we because I guess the expression might be a little different in English. Let's see if we can find the word in the. But anyway, you have my in regards to the meat and all that. So so try that out and see if it works. If it doesn't work, it doesn't work. And you didn't really waste anything. Just had some different dinner. You can have meat morning, noon and night and whatever. Let's see. Meat. Just keep you, if you're getting hungry, just eat some more meat. Let's see here. Okay, apparently it's only in regards of overthrow. Nah, again, that's really bad English. But anyway, the money is pouring. That's the best. Yeah, that's the best English word. The money is pouring down in the coffer in Denmark's most valuable virksomhed. What is that called? Industry? No. See here. See if we can find the better word. Virksomhed. Oh yeah, company. That was business. Business is probably our company. In 2018, Novo Nordisk's what do you call it? Earnings over 47 billion crowns. It would be in English. You see, million, billion. Yeah, it's a billion in English. Now in Danish it's called milliard, but we have million, milliard, but in English you have million, billion and all that, if I remember correctly. You skip a thing, yeah. So anyway, so that would be a 47 billion crowns. Now, of course, that would be crowns, so you need to divide that by around 6 or something like that. So you take, I don't know how much the dollar is at the moment, but compared to the crowns, but let's see, 74 divided by 6, that's around $7.8 billion, around that. And they say it is double as much as Maersk, Lego, and Carlsberg together. And these 3 companies are Danish companies. Apparently Lego don't want to actually have it pronounced as a Danish company, but that's what it is. Apparently it's not so popular. I guess all the wars that Denmark is making out in the world, doing the crusades of the Antichrist and having no idea what the Protestants understood in the past, because no one knows who the Antichrist is anymore. The man with the number 666. Written in the Bible and all that, but every single Protestant knew in the past. And yet, it seems like no people know about it anymore. Let's see here. So they talk about Novo Nordisk and all that in regards to diabetes. And let's see here. So that's something in regards of how much. So that's different numbers and all that. Here we go. In regards of the whole world suffer of diabetes. So you have like a map. Let's turn that around because it's Danish, but there's still a map. So here we see in regards of diabetes. And this is an article from Berlingske.dk. But anyway, the whole world suffers of diabetes. And you see the North America, and then you have Mexico, I think it is. That's Latin America, part of Latin America. And in regards of Latin America, they let a lot of Roman Catholics get into the U.S., wonder why that could be, because the U.S. was actually a Protestant. When they came over, they had a lot of anti-Catholic laws because they knew the danger of the Roman Antichrist over here in Italy in regards to the Vatican. That's where the Antichrist is. Now, of course, at some point, Rome will be destroyed in the future, as far as I can gather. But the papacy will continue because that is the Roman emperor and Caesar who will be destroyed when Jesus returns, or Yeshua returns. Well, anyway, that's another. So here we have South America, and a lot of it, I'm not sure if all of it is considered Latin America, but at least Mexico. And a lot of these nations are Roman Catholics, the Nazis fled by the Vatican red lines to Argentina and other nations and all that. And also the Hastashis that, that was in regards of, I can't remember. But anyway, they also used the red lines, as I understand it, the Vatican red lines to flee to, for example, Argentina. And one of the Nazis, for example, was taken to Israel. Reich, I can't remember the name of his, but he was hanged in Israel, if I remember correctly. He was judged for his, Reichman. Reich, no, it's the guy with the trains and all that. but they took him from Argentina, and but anyway, a lot of Nazis, anyway. So of course, Hitler was in good standing with the Roman Catholic Church until his alleged death. Some believe that Hitler actually fled also to Argentina, and now he's if that is true, he's dead now. But that's a lot of Nazis fled, so who knows. Whatever the case, the Vatican Red Lines is, and then of course we have the Nazis making a concordant with the Vatican in 1933, and the same with Italy, as I understand it. I think Spain and all that had a concordant with the Vatican, and now of course we have Well, anyway, all roads leads to Rome. The European Union seems to lead to Rome. What's it called? The what is it called, world, they have this world thing, I think it was created in World War II. They created a lot of things in World War II. They got their way. I don't think they lost. I think they actually did what they did to get more power. So anyway, but here we can see, I guess, I wonder if this is like percentages. Let's see here. Every year, around 5 million people die in the world because of diabetes. What do you call it? They're fixing it up together in regards of other things. In regards of malaria is. That 2 million of people die of malaria and tuberculosis. What's it called? To show how, with the difference, what is it called? Comparing, with malaria and tuberculosis, only 2 million. Well, that's a lot of people. But in any case, maybe they should tell the people what the reason is, What is the reason why people actually get diabetes in the first place? How do you make diabetes in mouse? Or what is it, like rabbits or whatever? What is there was 3 kind of test things that I heard something about Doc Kaufman in regards to know the cause. He's a Roman papist, by the way. So just be aware that there are some pagan doctrines that is promoted. But he knows a lot of fungi, that's for sure. Anyway, but that's a huge business, apparently. And I'm not saying it's bad to help. I'm not saying it's bad to help people, because of course, if people need it, it's nice. But tell them why they're getting it, so we can actually cure the cause. To prevent it from happening. But of course, they rather have people on it for the rest of their life, because it's money, big business. So don't tell the people why they're getting it. You just got it out of nowhere. That's just, could it be because of mycotoxins and the diet and, pretty much, it's just wicked, So, anyway, how do they do it in regards of mice? How do they make diabetes in mouse? Of course, there's diabetes 1 and 2 and so forward, and there's differences in regards to those. But anyway, whatever. But if they actually could, fix the cause, and maybe actually make these beta cells work again. I heard something in regards of that it actually might be possible to make them work again. I don't know. But, it wouldn't be a surprise if you actually fix the issues that might be in regards of a fungal infection. If you actually fix that issue, that the body might actually be able, and you provide the body with the things that it needs, that you might actually be able to turn it around. I don't know. Might be. So, whatever the case. So, yep. But again, earning a lot of money. Billions. And do you think they would like to change that? Nope, they want to have it like more money, right? because it's an industry. And then they look like the good guys because, oh yeah, we are helping a lot of people. Yeah, well, you have subscribers, for the rest of their life, not really fixing the cause. And there seems to be some of the issues that diabetes actually can get, seems to be fungus related as well. So if you're not fixing the cause and just using symptom treatment, well, isn't that criminal? If you actually know what the cause is, or you're just closing your eyes because there's a lot of money, oh, I don't see anything, I don't hear anything, I don't speak anything, right? So, yeah, don't tell the people, don't see the issue, don't listen to the people actually talking about it, yeah, because that's this big business. It's big business. And we need to, earn more and more and more and more so we can get, so these people that are having, I can't remember what it's called, when you have things in a company and they want to have some, their investment, they want to have some profit from their investment and so forward and all that bullshit. So money, 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 right? Money, money, money. Oh yeah, but you can invest in the military business and all that and get money and all that. Yeah, that doesn't seem like a right thing to do. Why would I put money in a military, industry? Why would I do that as a Christian? That's just insane. This is us utterly maniacs, Yeah, but we can get money. Yeah, but this doesn't really seem good, like, putting an investment into a military thing when Jesus said that we shouldn't pick up the sword and go out and, Jesus said we should spread the good news about him dying for the sins of the world. That's pretty much what Jesus said us, And whosoever takes up the sword shall die by the sword. And yet we have people, priding themselves, oh, I went to war. I went to war. I would do it again. I went to war to protect your freedom and blah, blah, blah. Bullshit. What kind of bullshit is that, If you're calling yourself Christian and you're going out and, into war, it doesn't seem right to me, And we have the stories. I remember this story, I think it was a Roman, I think it was, and he turned Christian. And he was one of the bigger guys in this Roman army. He took his sword and threw it in the ground and said, I don't want to fight anymore. I'm a Christian. And what happened to this guy? Well, he was martyred. So, anyway. But I think that was the Christian way. That's awesome, Can't remember where the story is and all that, but it's a long time since. That's the thing, If you're a Christian, you don't go out and kill other people that is made in the image of God. That seems you use the sword of the mouth, to make people turn around and come back to Christ, as the Savior of the world, and turn your ways, and try to live as he lived. And how did Jesus live? Well, he followed the law of God. So anyway, but people will say, oh, the law of Jehovah is thrown out and thrown over the shoulder, or put on the tree and all that other bullshit, you will lose salvation if you try to keep, some of the commandments in the Bible, but you won't lose salvation if you keep the Roman Antichrist laws, in regards of Easter and Christmas and all the other pagan bullshit and their calendar system and all that. But anyway, just read the book of Daniel. What is the last beast? What is the last beast? It's Roman. It's Roman. Yeah. Anyway, apparently it's really, and the little horn that is on the Roman beast persecutes the saints and thinks to change times and laws. Who have fought to change times and laws? Well, the Rome, 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 your boat. Dum da dum da dum. Anyway, all roads leads to Rome. Lies and Latin. Why do we mix lies and Latin together? Well, besides the bullshitters of the medical system, which probably also leads back to Rome as well. In regards of hospitals, for example, where does the word hospital comes from? As I understand, it comes from the Hospitalos. Well, who are the Hospitalos? Well, the Hospitalos are the Knights of Malta. Actually, the Knights of the Hospitalos. They are known as the Knights of Malta today. What are the Knights of Malta? Well, they are under the authority of the Antichrist. Are they not? Oh yeah, they are. Kissing his ring and bowing in front of the Antichrist 666 and all that bullshit. You can find a lot of images on that on the internet. I've looked at it. It's utter horrifying. But anyway, so, and of course they're speaking Latin as well. All these Latin words. It's like in the days of the Bible, where the Bible was only allowed to be read in Latin. Well, who did that? Well, the Roman Catholic Maniac Institution. Because they didn't want the people to be able to read the Bible in their own language so they could understand what is actually said. Because if they began to understand what it said, they would figure out who the Antichrist is, and they would find out that the Pope, or the so-called Pope, is a faker. So, the pagan high priest, nothing to do with Christianity. And yet he thinks he's the highest authority. In both political and spiritual matters. Anyway, he thinks himself the ruler of the whole world. And the Protestants protested against him. And yet no one knows. And just read the book in regards to Martin Luther. What is it called? I have it on the mobile actually, so we can just figure out the name. I think it's called Against the Roman Papacy, an Institution of the Devil. What do you think Martin Luther thought of the, Now, he did have some issues for sure. That's so I'm not going to. But it's interesting to see how Roman Catholics are always twisting things. If you're going to quote Martin Luther, put a date on when he said it. Okay, because there's differences in regards of his, you're growing in regards of understanding and all that. So just don't quote Luther from his younger and say, oh, Luther says this and all that. Yeah, but Luther also knew, as we can see in his past writings or his late writings, that he knew he had issues in his, younger days. You have to remember that all these people were beginning to read the Bible and begin to turn the boat around. And sadly, we, in 500 years, we haven't, come further. We actually have, gone backward. And now no one knows who the Antichrist even is. It's just incredible. Here we have Martin Luther's work here, and here we go. Church. This is a little slow, this program, but hopefully they will make it, quicker, faster. But I don't know if they will. But let's see, church ministry. Yep, here we go. Against the Roman Papacy and the Institution of the Devil. You can borrow this book, 41 Church and Ministry, and you can just. It's a very upfront book. He's very, very, he really gives it a, so he wrote this book released this book in 1545. That's a year before he died. So we have his, a lot of experience behind him in this book. But he's really upfront. Let's say, he's really, sometimes it really feels like he's really, I don't know if actually he quoted these things in regards of Paul, but anyway, but he did change some of his views, but he still believed in the cookie cheese. That's a lot of things in regards to this, but he did see the Roman Catholic way of the Mass as Christ Mass. What do you think people are celebrating and why do you think we're seeing the Antichrist on the television at Christ Mass? Anyway, in regards to the pagan sun god Sol Invictus, like Sunday as well, the venerated day of the sun god Sol Invictus. It's nothing to do with the last day of the week that was made holy. That would be Saturday. And if you want to be perfectly, that's from Friday sundown to Saturday sundown. Because the Roman calendar and the Roman time, and all that is not the biblical and all that. Anyway, so a day starts at sunset, not in the midnight. So, anyway. So that's pretty much. But that's a book in regards of Against the Roman Papacy and Institution of the Devil. And he also made a song in regards of the two arch enemies of Christ. And who do you think Martin Luther thought was the two arch enemies of Jesus Christ? Do you think it was the Jews? Because people always say, oh, the Jews. Martin Luther wrote a book against the Jews and this and blah, blah, blah bullshit, Well, anyway, I guess it's not bullshit that he wrote a book and he spoke against them. But the thing is that was not who he saw as the two arch enemies of Jesus Christ. So they were not number one. They were not number two. They might have come in at a third, I don't know, but at least they were not number one and one number two. So who did Martin Luther think that, and they, the Jesuits, which is the Society of Jesus, they always use, the Roman Catholic Church always uses these biblical names and all that. It's just pagan bullshit disguised in, in Christianity. So, any case, so the Jesuits, the Jesuits, it's itching, anyway, the Jesuits are the special soldiers of the Antichrist, and they are ruled by the Black Pope, or the Black Pope, the general of the Jesuits, and they're the special soldiers, they are of the Antichrist. And their job was to get the Protestant back under the wings of the Antichrist. Do you think they have succeeded? Or, what do you see that the so-called Protestants are now doing? They're singing love songs to the Antichrist. Oh, then they are running back to the Antichrist. The beast of the number 666. I don't know what's, it's just incredible. How could we have fallen so low? How could we lose so? We had so much. It's just It's just incredible. It's beyond words. How could we be so careless so none of us know who the Antichrist is? So anyway, Lord, keep us steadfast in your word. Lord, that's a child song of Martin Luther, and I don't have the let's see here, and the second line is usually censored, or many times censored, and it's a song against the two arch enemies of Christ. And I haven't finished this notes and all that. I just tried the program and all that. Sadly, there's spyware in it, and I need to talk to them about that. But anyway, you can hear the melody. I finished the melody and I put it in a harp, which actually I think sounds pretty good. Oh, it's pretty good, isn't it? I think it's pretty good. We can just so we can see all the notes here. Da 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 da. So this is a children's song written by Martin Luther. He released this song in 1542, and it's a song against the two arch enemies of Christ. Now, who could those two arch enemies be? Well, first and foremost, number one, the Roman Catholic Church, and as its head, the Antichrist, the so-called Pope. Well, I call him the Pope, but the so-called Pope, the so-called Holy Father. I call him the unholy Fager, his so-called holiness. Well, I call him, his outmost smelliness or fartiness or whatever. I think that's much more, fair. But anyway, that was number one. Number one, Romanism. Number two, what could number two be in regards of the two arch enemies of Jesus Christ? According to Martin Luther. That's funny in regards to the Martin Luther. Every time, talk about Martin Luther, people think it's another guy that even wasn't even named Martin Luther. He just took this name upon himself. I guess Satan is a sneaky one to try. So, Martin Luther. And it's like, no, I'm talking about Martin Luther in regards to the Reformation, which failed because the Reformation became a protest because they figured out who the Antichrist was. They found out they couldn't reform this wicked system, Yeah. Then we have the Council of Trent, where all the curses that is put on the Protestants, I have multiple, I don't know how many curses the Roman Catholic Church have put on me, but it's a good amount, It would be, of course, interesting to go through and see how many, but I guess one curse might be enough. Did Jesus tell us to go around and curse people? No, he didn't. So, but anyway, yeah, I didn't. He said we shouldn't take an oath either. Anyway, yeah. So number two of the two arch enemies of Christ was the Mohammedans. Number two. So the Mohammedans and the Romanist. So actually the Romanist and the Mohammedans. The Romanists are on the first place. The second place is the Mohammedans. So anyway, so now you know. So when people say, oh, Martin Luther, oh, it's the Jews, it's the Jews, it's the Jews. Well, you have to remember that the Roman Catholic Church had to have a scapegoat. And the scapegoat fell on the Jews. They always use the Jews, to give them the, accuse them for, this and that and all that. So anyway, they have scapegoated the Jews, oh, it's the Jews. They have some high level ranking Jews, put in high positions and all that. So, but, the Jews are like you and me, We have Freemasons all over the world, working for this wicked system. It doesn't matter if it's Denmark or the US or, many, many places around the world. You have Freemasons, So just because you have Jews that have Freemasons as well, like B'nai B'rith, doesn't mean that they are the ones controlling it, So anyway, whatever the case. But, two arch enemies of Christ. If you're going to follow Martin Luther, or something like that, I'm not entirely sure how you say it totally right in German, but Luther, I think there was like Luther or something like that. Anyway, but... that's the Romanist in regards to Roman Catholicism, Universalism, and the Mohammedans. Now you know. And what could, they both have a fake version of Jesus Christ, and Jesus didn't warn us about wolves, stinky wolves, like Muhammad. Jesus or Yeshua warned us about wolves in sheep clothing that, if possible, could deceive the very elect, right? So, what would we expect to be aware of? Well, wolves in sheep clothing. So, where are the wolves in sheep? Well, Romanism. The Roman Catholic system. They look like the real thing, but they worship a cookie. And, of course, Mariolatry and, praying to different so-called saints, And if you just look on some of the people that they have sainted, so-called sainted, according to them, it's just it's madhouse. It's an utter madhouse. So anyway, they think to sacrifice Jesus Christ all over again for the living and the dead. They believe the cookie becomes Jesus Christ. And then they are apparently allowed to worship the cookie. And the cookie is put into a monstrance with sun rays around it. It couldn't have anything to do with sun worship, could it? Sunday, Sunday, Christ Mass in regards to being the birth of the venerated sun god, Sol Invictus. A cookie, a round cookie that looks like the sun being put into a monstrance, with sun rays, Couldn't have anything to do with pagan sun worship, could it? Anyway, so now a lot of, they don't tell it, they don't tell you. So when they are talking about Jesus Christ, they're talking about a cookie. The Roman Catholics might sound very Christian, but they're talking about a cookie. A cookie. A cookie god. A dry wafer, they become very, 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 what shall we say? And they use all these tactics. Oh, you're unloving and bullshit and all that, trying to use these tactics to get people to shut them up. And this ecumenical bullshit movement is just a diabolical satanic movement where the world is now gathering around the Antichrist. It's incredible. It's incredible. Oh, I thought Denmark was a Protestant nation. So why don't anyone know, or very few, knows who the Antichrist is? Even the Lutherans. I was asking a lot of Lutherans, do you know who the Antichrist is? I was like, it's just looking at you. And then, hey, who did the Protestant protest against? Trying to give them some lead and all that. They don't, they don't, you can just look at people. They don't want to talk to you. They don't just go away, just go away. It's like, oh, you get excuses. Oh, it doesn't really matter. It's not really a thing that, I remember talking to one of these so-called priests, whatever you want to call them, and I was like, in regards to the Antichrist and all that, and it's like, oh, it's not really that important. It's not important to know who the Antichrist is, That was the whole idea why, they figured out who the Antichrist was, and then it just took on, what shall we say, I guess people cared a lot more at that time than we do now, apparently. Now we have the Roman theater in a square box on the wall, all the, fun stuff and wicked stuff and desensitizing us for sins and all that, bullshit and all that. Yeah, we don't have time to read the Bible. And by the way, be careful of Paulus. Paulus, came after, just be careful of Paulus. Personally, I would skip his letters, but anyway, at least I read them last, but there's huge amount of issues with Paulus. Of course, they also understood that there was some issues in the first century with Paulus. So all Asia, which is actually, as far as I can see, is one of the big places, or actually the biggest place for truth in the world, the first 200 years. They rejected Paulus. Why would they reject Paulus? By the way, that's 2 Timothy 1:15, and Paulus write himself, as you know, all Asia has left me. Oh, why would all Asia, which is nowadays West Turkey, why would they leave Paulus? Maybe because they found out that there was some leaven in him, and they remember the warning of wolves in sheep clothing. Yeah. And of course, they probably would have known things that we don't know today, because it seems like Satan uses the tactic of censoring things. And we can still collect puzzle pieces here and there, but there's a lot of things that have been lost. And the same thing I can see with my own writings, experience that you lose a lot of writings, when you speak about these things, yeah. So it wouldn't be a surprise if Satan would already have been using these tactics in the past of censoring. So we have lost a lot. Like for example, Melito would have been a one that I really would have liked to read his material, his documents. And we know he wrote different books, like in regards of a book on Revelation. Could you just, have thought about a book from the second century about, very, from the area that we know, also, stood very close to the truth, and actually also fought with Rome on Easter and Passover and and other things. But Easter and Passover is one of the conflicts that we have most information on, it seems. Polycarp in the beginning of the first century went to Rome to try to correct them in regards of Easter, because they were keeping Easter, not Passover, according to the Bible. But that didn't really work, and then later on, the bishop from Rome thought that apparently that the congregations in Asia Minor should keep the traditions of Rome and not keep to the Bible. And we have a wonderful letter being coming back to Bishop Victor that apparently became outrageous and wanted to excommunicate the ancient Asian congregations. He apparently thought that he had the authority to do that. Yeah, well, of course he didn't. Funny enough, I saw one of these Roman Catholics try to use that to show that he had authority. Yeah. The thing is, it just all breaks down when you see the letter going back to Bishop Victor, ending with, well, it's better, it's better to fear God than to fear man. It seems like Bishop Victor apparently had threatened them in regards of they need to keep Easter instead of Passover. But again, we don't have the letter for Asia Minor. But anyway, they stood fast, and they talk. Actually, also the interesting thing with the letter is that they don't mention Paulus. They mention John, Yohanan, which is one of the apostles of Jesus. They mention him, and they mention Philip, the apostle Philip as well, was in that area. Actually, you can still find his grave, the place where he was buried. I have it on my, But anyway, it's interesting. I found, using the letter and looking into it, that is still a place where they believe that he is laying in this place, city, according to this letter. But anyway, so apparently according to this letter, there was 2 apostles in that area. And he talks about different other figures from this area. And he said, all of them kept it according to, Passover and so forward. So if Apostle John did it, if Apostle Philip did it, and those that they had contact with did it, well, maybe that would be the thing that we should do, right? So anyway, but the letter is a wonderful letter, and I actually think it shows 4 things, that Rome doesn't have the authority that she thinks she has, and that, regards of Passover, that they actually kept Passover according to the Bible and not according to Rome, and there was other things, of course, that John was in the area and Philip was in the area. And an interesting thing is that it doesn't mention the great apostle Paul, right? Isn't it that interesting? Wouldn't you think that he might have, mentioned the great apostle Paul in his letter? Well, maybe he understood that the area of Asia Minor rejected Paulus as an apostle. And we have the book of Revelation from Jesus Christ, or, he let Apostle John write down this to the 7 congregations in Asia Minor. So there was apparently still Christians in Asia Minor, but yet they had rejected Paulus as an apostle for Jesus Christ. So So again, you might ask, why is that? Why would that be? Well, I think if you get into pick up the puzzles and all that, you should begin to see why. And the warnings that Jesus gives to these 7 congregations about a doctrine in regards of eating food sacrificed to false gods. At least twice, it's very clear that he rebukes them on this doctrine. Now, who went around and promoted this doctrine? Who could it be? Well, maybe someone that also was in Ephesus 2 or 3 years, according to what we have. That was Paulus. And the letter to Ephesus from Jesus Christ, written by the Apostle John, talks about that they tested someone that said they were apostles and found them liars. So someone that must have been very deceptive because they needed to test them. And after they tested them, they found them liars. The Nicolaitans, those that rules over the people. Who could that be? Paulus was a Roman, wasn't he? And he was a Pharisee. Anyway, if you take all the puzzle pieces together and all that, I think it's pretty much Jesus is warning us about this system of, starting with Paulus. And it's later on, what do you call that word in English? It's amalgamates with the pagan Roman religion, mystery religion, and it becomes Roman Catholicism, Roman Universalism. And in 325, they are now all in agreement that they should follow Roman tradition in regards of Easter. Yeah, let's now all be in agreement. There's like happy about it. Let's now all be in agreement to all be in error in regards of keeping Roman tradition instead of keeping to the Bible. And of course, we know that not everybody went along with that, because we have against the Jews in regards of what is it called, Chrysostom, and Chrysostom is very, very harsh on the Jewish celebration. What's called John Chrysostom against the Jews, homily 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and 8, and I read them all. And funny enough, in the 4th century, he attacks these Judaizers. Those are the ones to, still keep the festivals of the Bible. And he begins to promote Christ Mass. Interesting, right? And his wordings are very viciously on so many levels. But he attacks the law of Jehovah, and then begins to promote things that is not in the Bible at all. So anyway, so you can follow the threads in regards of, for example, Easter and all that. And also in regards to the 1,000-year reign. This was a doctrine that was very quickly attacked as well in regards of Rome and their followers. Of course, I'm getting totally off topic, but we have talked about the meat and all that. I have a way of going off topic into biblical things. I love talking about that. But anyway, in regards to the 1,000-year reign on earth is as a doctrine that is also attacked on many levels. And that's a lot of research that I actually would love to do more in regards to, because there have been people upholding this doctrine and all that. Apparently those that followed Rome and their system and all that didn't really like Melito very much. But we know that he wrote a lot of books, because we have a list of his books written by, one of these people following the Roman system. But we don't have much materials from him. Apparently they didn't like him very much. Maybe they didn't like him because he had too much truth. We have snippets here and there from Melito, but yes, we really lost a lot of things. Anyway, my battery is running down. Try the meat, and if you get an issue in regards of if you have itch that is just terrible, and try it out. What do you have to lose? It's pretty easy to do, and it's not like huge amount of this and that. It's just one thing you just eat, and then drink water. Again, in regards to the fat, if it's not necessary, to use fat. If you, for example, ribeyes, you can usually do that on a pan without the fat. But if you want a little fat, just steer away from the butter in the beginning for sure. And again, I think the best thing was just to try the meat and see if you can actually do it without fat. If you're not if you don't have any tallow or something like that, that you could use, that would be pretty good if you had some tallow. Yeah, but because just a little can in the beginning that I had this issue, just a little sugar could actually yeah. Now we are closing down, it seems, I think. Or no, okay, it's still running. No. We're going.